One. Hello. Welcome back to the viewers. Welcome back, Tanya. We are here and I'm so excited. How are you?
I am, I'm excited to talk about GH
That's true.
again, because it's just been a while and a lot has happened.
Hmm.
And so I'm excited to just get into it. I've been super busy just trying to do this campaign thing, but just taking it one day at a time. I'm excited that Star Wars Acolyte is out.
That's right. I haven't watched it yet.
I've been also hearing good things about some movies that are coming out, and so I'm just trying to take things one day at a time. We're getting a heat wave early for California. Well, Bay Area, sorry.
Right, right, right.
Usually we get the heat wave in August, September, and it's just been hot this week. I'm not excited about that, but I'm excited that I get to get outside and ride my bike. So I've been doing a lot of bike riding again, me and Charlie, me and Venus. So it's just been great. I'm just experiencing a little bit of a hot flash right now. But everything else, I'm doing okay, all things considered.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm okay. I forgot to say, please like, share, subscribe. This is
Right,
how my brain is not working
all
because
the
we haven't
things.
recorded in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So the first week we didn't record, I was like rushing because I had to get out of town. And like I used to travel a lot for work and then I kind of
Yeah.
stopped and stuff became virtual. And now, wildly enough, that like COVID is like picking up again. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, we're traveling, we're doing stuff in person. I'm like, okay. So the first week, 2 weeks ago, I was leaving that day and I just had not done all the things I had done needed to do to travel. So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, we gotta cancel. And I was actually kind of okay with it just because I felt that was the week that Gregory died. And
Uh-huh.
that was just like really heavy for me. Like my father passed and like I thought like it was just a lot. I was like, ooh,
Hmm.
I don't want to get on here talking about this.
Hmm.
Then the next week, so I'm in Detroit for work and I have a 3-day retreat that I'm facilitating. And I can feel myself just like losing energy. I'm like, oh, maybe it's like jet lag, whatever that like Thursday, I was so sick. I had such a high fever. I couldn't get out of bed. I had to like email the people like, hey, y'all gotta facilitate yourself. Here is my facilitator guide. It was so bad. Um, and I mean, I thought I had COVID. Thankfully, I did not. I had like a sinus
Hmm.
infection. But I thought I was like, my God, I couldn't. My fever was so high, it was bad.
Hmm.
So I kind of got stuck in Detroit. Um, and then I just went to Arizona, and it was like part of a facilitation team,
Hmm.
and my voice was going in and out. I was like, okay, this is too much. So thankfully yesterday I got my voice back kind of fully. I'm a little congested now, but not as bad. It was so hot in Arizona. Shout out to anybody who lives in the desert because it could not be me. Girl, the last day we were there, it was 114 degrees. I said, I gotta
Oh
go.
no. Yeah.
I gotta get up out of here.
No.
I am not a
No.
little girl. I cannot. No. This is very, very skinny people weather, I think. Maybe. I don't know what people
Right.
do, but it was not the weather for me. I said I need some balmy Bay Area. Like, get me out of here.
I need like a cool breeze. If I'm going to be outside in the sun, there needs to be a cool breeze to blanch the heat of the direct sunlight.
Okay?
That's what I need. And just,
Okay?
yeah, I don't understand how people can just do waves and waves of heat. And then not only the heat, but the moisture in the air, the mugginess
Oh,
is
well,
just
Arizona was dry.
Arizona is dry. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the people in the East Coast have to deal with that most. But I
Hmm.
can't. So I feel you, and have no plans to go to Arizona. Sorry,
Mm-mm.
Arizona. I can't.
Maybe whatever y'all consider winter, but it was like a point where like the training center was like, like a maybe 3, 4 minute walk from the hotel, and it was like right down a path. And then, oh, it's a very quick walk. And originally I thought it was going to be like kind of, you know how you do like a walkway or something that's like enclosed.
Mhm.
I stepped outside of the hotel. I said, "Oh, I'm melting. What is this?"
No, not I'm melting. I'm melting.
But it was fine. I had a really great time. One of the trainers on our training team, it was six of us. She was talking about how she was gonna get engaged, but she forgot the wedding ring at home. So she was going to DC Pride to propose to her girlfriend, now
Uh-huh.
fiance.
Uh-huh.
Spoiler alert. She left the ring at home, so we had to like troubleshoot how she could get the ring.
Oh.
But it worked, and oh my God, what a beautiful couple. They look so happy. I love so much. Oh, it was so cute. It was so cute. She sent video of the engagement. Her now fiance was so shocked and so happy. Oh, it was beautiful. I cried.
Well, first of all, happy Pride Month for everyone.
That's
And
right.
your story reminded me of what I saw yesterday. But
Tell me.
because I went to a festival in East Oakland called the East Oakland Futures Fest, and I
Okay.
was there at the tail end, and just people were just listening to music and dancing and kind of walking around, and then I saw this couple with their, I guess their daughter. It was two women, and they were holding hands, but they were matching. And I think that's
I
super
love a
cute.
matching couple.
I love a super cute matching couple. I was just like, you go. I was just like, I had to give them thumbs up. It was just so wonderful. And I was just like, I love that. I love it. And of
I
course, they all looked fly.
I love a matching couple like no other. Give
Yeah.
it to me. Now,
Yes.
I don't necessarily do it anymore, but I remember I had this boyfriend in high school. He was so annoyed with
Mhm.
me because do you remember when there was like when it would be like short polos, like girls would have like
Mhm.
shorter polos.
Uh-huh.
So I would always make him wear a polo and then I would wear the shorter one. And I only thought about it because we're still on good terms. And he sent me a
Mhm.
picture that he was like going through his old stuff and found it. And I
Mm.
made him wear a pink polo, and I had like on this like crop top pink one. It was so good. We were good.
Oh wow. I've never been in a relationship where the guy that I was seeing was I had made them wear matching out. I think one of my boyfriends was a football player, and we probably
Hmm.
wore, like, when we go to a games, we probably wore matching,
Yeah.
football paraphernalia. But other than that, I've never matched with my partner, so it's
I
interesting.
love a matchy situation, but I'm a mess.
Yes.
So well, let's get into this week. I was telling Tanya before we started recording. Um, so first of all, I watched the whole week yesterday. But because I was traveling, I was like
Uh-huh.
exhausted, like a true washed person.
Mm-hmm.
I went to bed every night as soon as I got to my room. I didn't do anything else. So, I just have like chunks, and if there are things that we miss, we apologize. We'll be back at it
Mm-hmm.
next week. But
Mm-hmm.
first thing I want to talk about is the shootout at the coffee warehouse. First of all, Jason and this clipboard and his counting of coffee beans every day. I just like, I'm like, why is this happening?
Well, what was funny was I noticed when, and this is after the shootout, right? First of all, but when Sonny was being interrogated, um, well, what's his name? Tagger, no, Jagger slash
Jagger.
John Jagger, Jacob John Smith. He he like Jagger or John was like, well, it looks like, the shooting made a mess out of everything, and you got to look at your staff, who you're hiring. And then Sonny was like, what staff? You mean the secretary, or the coffee bean counter, or all this other stuff? And I was just like,
That's all
you know
Jason.
the I was like, the other person that works there is Jason. Why are you making up a team? like, Like, just don't even lie. You don't have anyone on staff at the coffee warehouse but Jason.
And I'm cracking up every time I see it, Jason with this clipboard. I'm like, what is happening?
Like, what are they counting?
I
The
love it.
bags? I'm just
I
like, I don't get it.
I love every time I see it, I crack up. Well, so I will say that I came into the week and I was like, oh my God, did Sunny put a hit on Jason? Like I was one of the
Right,
people who was like shocked that that might be happening.
right.
So when they switched it up like kind of immediately, it was so funny. I was like, I am Diane, who's like, did you do this? And Sunny just looked like he could not believe that somebody would ask him, as if he has not been threatening to kill Jason left and right.
Right. And I think, and I did remember that it was part of Valentine's plan to make it look like Sonny killed Jason. So
Right.
I knew that it probably wasn't Sunny, but the way that they had framed it, and it was so
Hmm.
easy to forget that that was part of Valentine's plan because of the way that they have everything set up, like Sunny being irrational, beating down homeboy, getting mad at Jason and doubling down on being mad at Jason and Carly, and being unforgiving to Michael and everybody, just really kind of pushing everyone away. That it's
Hmm.
so easy to forget that there is this side plot that's happening, right? And
Hmm.
so the way everything built up around what Sonny and his behavior, then it automatically, yes, it's so easy to believe that, yes, he's just really mad and pissed off at Jason. And when Jason, turned him down and saying that I'm not going to sell my half of the coffee warehouse, and then
Hmm.
immediately gets shot at, then of course, everyone's going to jump to that conclusion.
Right. And Sonny's like talking to Carly, like, well,
Mhm.
whatever, and it is what it is, kind of
Right.
thing. I
Beating
was
down
like,
Dex. Well, can we talk about that? I know that didn't happen this week, but
go
man,
ahead, we can talk about it.
first of all, Sonny hitting him. Now, the hitting was believable. What wasn't believable was just how horrible he looked the next day. The blood gushing, all the blood. I was like, now I know that cuts to the head do have a lot of bleeding, but the way it looked, it was just like, dude, and then he looked horrible for maybe a week or two, and then almost this week, it's just like nothing happened. Like I know.
He's using that deception.
Right, that deception makeup. Or like, yeah, stitches do heal over time, but they do not heal over a week. And you looking exactly the same. And I'm just like, it was crazy to me. Just, the fight was believable. The injuries after was not believable.
The fight was not believable to me. This is the
Well,
second time Sonny done put the paws on somebody and like beat them damn near to death.
but
And I'm
again, he
also
was like,
like,
they had displayed it away. Dex was like, yeah, I could have, I just didn't want to fight him back. I'm
yeah,
like,
but you didn't want to like block yourself.
right.
Like you were like what you were in the military. Like it's unbelievable to me
That he didn't
that you would know
duck.
how to block.
Or not even just block, but duck. Because
Right.
like he was just
What's
stood there.
this? Right. Just nothing. Like
And the
Jason had to
academy
come
taught you,
through.
the academy didn't teach you anything. You were the number one in the academy. So,
What is the academy teaching if you were number one?
and what is their judging of what's a good person if they think that's just standing there is a
Right. Nah,
good skill set?
it's too much for me to believe that Sonny just putting a pause on people like that. Like, come on,
Now I could,
stop it. I guess he do be boxing though, so maybe that's why they kept showing us his boxing
his
ring.
box.
Yeah,
I'm just like, okay, yeah,
I'm trying to get
but
trained wherever
seriously.
I'm getting trained wherever Sonny's getting trained because Sonny beating ass, and I need to be on the same type of time. Um, Also, I mean, we had Jason protecting Sonny, not even knowing what was happening.
Hmm.
Diane said, Jason. Anna was like, do you have a death wish? Like Jason
Right.
had no idea, he did not know, but that loyalty went into overdrive.
It did, and he didn't even like deny it. He was
No,
just
he was
like,
like, well,
"Yep," and and then threw it back in Anna's face about Valentine. So he had a point.
listen. That was interesting. So I will say this. What do you feel about this kind of rewriting of it's not a I mean it's rewriting, but it's also like a reframing of what they are doing with Sunny. Because I
Hmm.
feel like some of the stuff that like Jagger has said or Anna has said has been stuff that has floated around. I've heard before, but it hasn't been the way the show has framed it.
Hmm.
Like, oh, Jason, like you took this brain dead or brain dead, brain
Hmm.
injured,
Injured, yeah.
like like young person and made him a mobster. And like we have heard these things about Sonny and Jason before, but now the show's like really pushing it, and I find that to be really interesting. um I don't know how I feel about it.
I actually do think it's actually intriguing because, yes, there is a reason why Sunny is acting all volatile and everything right now. And I don't know how they're going to play it. But him coming, like all of the bad things about Sunny coming to roost and people really like looking at it and figuring out, how they've actually kind of enabled it, I think is really interesting because
Hmm.
I mean, yes, Sunny as a character is really compelling, and it can be easy to root for him because we kind of know the backstory
Hmm.
around the violence and the behavior, and that he seemingly that was the thing that kept him apart from all the other mobsters in GH history. It was that Sunny was only violent when he was being
Threatened.
threatened
Hmm.
and his family was being threatened. But now it just seems like, okay, he's just violent all the time and he's doing some really inexplicable things. Like it really shocked me way back in when that first of all, when he's put the other dude in the trunk. It was him doing it. Now
Right.
we saw Jason doing some things, shooting and all this other stuff, but we had never, at least I had never really seen Sonny directly
That's
doing
true.
something like that, or Sonny directly putting one of his employees on a meat hook, or Sonny directly beating someone up in the stairwell. All these things we didn't see him doing. We
Right.
may have heard about it, or he may be in conversation with Jason and be like, "Is it done?" And then Jason's like, "Yes, it's done." And we didn't even see Jason sometimes doing it. It was just like a backstory. So now we're clearly seeing him being violent. And that
Hmm.
was even before we knew the medication was switched. He was
Right.
doing some pretty violent stuff. And so now, so is people of Port Charles. The people of Port Charles are seeing the violence. It's not hidden anymore. It's not
Hmm.
like just a rumor. This is Sonny being the violent mobster that he's been reputed to be,
Right.
alleged to be. And so I think it's honestly, I think it's kind of great
Mm.
that we're having this conversation. Now, how they actually rectify these feelings once they figure out that his meds have been tampered with, and yes, he has gone through some serious things. And what does he do about it, right? Once
Hmm.
he knows that his medications have been tampered with and that he's been engaging in some really violent behavior, how does that change him as a person? And then how does that change everybody else when they realize that, okay, Sonny used to keep his temper in check. Now he's wilding out, but he also has bipolar and his medication hasn't been 100%. How do
Hmm.
we interact with him in the same way? And
Hmm.
I think it's truly going to be very great potential drama and dialogue for some key people. One, Anna. Two, Christina.
Hmm.
Um, and then Jason
Dante,
and
Jason, yeah,
Dante.
yeah.
Yes. Michael has been grappling with it for a while. And I'm not sure it's going to be as much of a struggle for him. But these other key players who have totally been 100% for him and now seeing things and just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm turning on him. what is that going to mean for them? So I think it's going to be potentially could be some great story. It just depends on how, our current writers handle it. But I'm not mad at
Right.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much
Right.
Jason's gonna come into play, but I it feels very heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
And if I yeah, it feels very heavy-handed, so that's what I'll say first. I don't really feel a way about Sunny. Like I would imagine if you're like a fan of Sunny, you probably really don't
Mm-hmm.
like this. Um, I'm also not like a huge Sunny hater. I
Mm-hmm.
think that Sunny came up. I don't like him particularly, but I'm not a hater. I think Sunny came to prominence in a time where we were really talking about anti-heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he predates The Sopranos, even though like we talk about him as like The Sopranos.
Right.
Um, but there was like a real sweet spot where, like the anti-hero character was the like lead. That was
Mm-hmm.
Breaking Bad. That was, even if you look at superheroes, that was Loki. So I think that they didn't know how to shift him in a way because there's so many soap villains or soap villain type characters or those archetypes
Mm-hmm.
that you couldn't see come forth today.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that Sonny did before, it was bad, but it wasn't, but taking it and forwarding it and looking through it through a 2024 lens, I don't know if I think it's particularly fair.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I think it's particularly unfair. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, and I'm coming even from a place, I mean, I'm not, I think I was a teenager when these movies came out, but I saw them when I was in college. So movies like Godfather
Hmm.
and Scarface, right? There were some heroes in there, those movies and in that era, and they weren't cops. Right?
Right.
The heroes of it
Or like
were
the folk
actually
heroes.
are
Yeah.
the folk heroes or the people that were admired in those stories weren't necessarily the cops or like usual suspects again, like some
Even
really
like
great
American Gangster.
American, yeah, just some real, yeah, villains that were still admired in some way because of the empathy that they've been able to elicit around their characters in their life story.
Hmm.
And so that's the kind of frame that I'm almost seeing Sunny in as well.
Hmm.
Not so much. I actually don't think I saw The Sopranos
Hmm.
because that was a cable television thing that I didn't have. But that's the frame of mind that I view Sunny in, and so some of the things I'm tolerating is a little bit different than maybe those who haven't seen those or didn't come up in that age. But yeah, I understand being all over the place because he is all over the place.
Mm.
He can be like a real loving and protective father figure, but at the same time, he's irrational and he's quick to temper and he's very self-centered and all this other
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. I also say, some of these other characters that we're talking about,
Hmm.
they have like expiration dates. Like
Hmm.
soap operas don't have that.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out how to like refresh and keep telling stories for these
Yeah.
characters who would normally in like the boom and bust of a show
Hmm.
be like, okay, you have the high, high, and then you have their like downfall.
Right.
Whether you're rooting for it or not, like all of these characters go out, whether that's dead or in jail. There
Hmm.
isn't like a continuity around them that you have to like keep seeing them in that way.
Right.
Something that's an interesting way to look at it. And then I think for just for Sunny in general, um his superpower, his armor used to be his family. And when they broke him and Carly up and they had him like treating Michael away or whatever, some of that superpower went away.
Hmm.
And you can't replace the like loyalty that he was supposed to have for his family with just Christina and Dante, when if you've been watching this show for decades, it's been to his whole family. And you
Hmm.
particularly can't have him at odds with Michael in this way. And
Right.
then having Michael, I think that they tried to do this thing like, okay, he said odds with Michael, but Michael's also bad because he hired Dex. It just didn't work,
Right.
especially when we saw him continue to put Nina first. Because
Hmm.
I will say, when I saw him at the Wiley visitation hearing.
Oh man,
And
that
like
was
that
unbelievable.
was it, like I just really do feel like that peeled back some of what had always been Sonny's plot armor.
Hmm.
Um and so now, yeah, we have this like kind of plot armor of his meds and all of that. I do think I think like if you remember the scene where he was like so hurt, like he just like he was desperate that Carly knew that he didn't do this. And I
Yeah,
that was really good. To me, that was a really
yeah,
good scene. Like
yeah.
he was just like, I didn't, and she's like, I believe you.
Right.
At the end of the day, no matter how people feel, like or how certain people feel, like people want to see Carly, Jason, and Sonny good with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter the configuration of relationship or romance or whatever. The three of them, since I have been watching the show, have been the drivers of a lot of story.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't want to see them in a long-term beef with each other. Of course, you get the drama of it, but people want to see them eventually come back together. And I do feel like what we're seeing with Carly talking with Christina, with Sonny like going and basically begging Carly to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Once Sonny finds out that Jason was protecting Carly, I
Mm-hmm.
think we're gonna see them kind of come back together, and that's gonna be really important.
And yeah, and I think the tipping point, and I think Sunny is not even under. Sunny is like, I think Carly is right. Like deep down, I don't think Sunny wants to let Jason go as a friend, and I think he's kind of hearing that something is wrong, but he's not knowing what it is.
Hmm.
And because, like, even when Jason was explaining to him that he's not leaving the company, he was
Hmm.
saying, there's something wrong and you're in trouble. And so I think Sonny took that in, but then that stubborn bipolar part of him was like, I don't care. You need to go, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
so it's just like, I think he's taking that in slow, like very slowly. But yes, I agree. When he rushed to make sure that Carly knew that it wasn't him, again, that's another tipping point to say, no, no matter how mad and how angry he is, he still knows that it's Carly and Jason that are protecting him in some kind
Yeah,
of way. And
100%.
deep down, 100% he knows this.
Hmm.
So I think, yes, nobody really wants to see them in the outs. And I don't think that's going, I think eventually there is going to be a point where he will wake up and realize what's happening.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's so
Yes,
much.
I mean, I will say something else about GH.
Mhm.
The acting has just been superb. I've had a
I
lot of
know.
issues with some of the writing. The acting has never been the issue. I will say I wanted to talk about because we forgot to do we forgot to do a Robert of the
Yes.
Week. We just
And
talked about it.
I was gonna wait to the end because I was like, we were having such great conversation. I don't even want to stop it. But yeah, I do.
But
I do have those.
I really
Yeah.
loved Carly and Christina's conversation.
Hmm.
And oh my God, Fanola Hughes. Mm,
Mm.
okay, a queen. When Anna heard Valentine's voice,
Oh my God.
Tanya, I fell apart for my girl.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Just that, like her face, just like,
yeah, yes. I
oh.
I will say, and I know we're going to talk about kind of in hot takes the Emmys, but I will say, she obviously didn't win. She was up for leading. And something I was saying to Tara, friend of the show, Tara, I think for Anna, it's hard to put a reel for her for Fanola
Mm-hmm.
because Anna is so good. And
Mm-hmm.
so like you have to have like for a reel, you put together like the storyline and you put all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Anna just has these like as Anna has these like nuanced moments. Like I'm like give her an Emmy or for what she did in that interrogation room.
Right.
Like, but that's not a full story.
Right.
And so it's hard when you put together a reel because it is just like the nuance of what she brings as an actress.
Mm-hmm.
It is that you could see her heart break, you could see her the realization, I think Steve Burton was a great scene partner to her in that moment. Like Finola, mm, mm.
Mm,
So like it was so good.
it was.
I love her. I think she is so it's like beyond talented. She's just like when she's in her zone and doing her thing,
Hmm.
it's next level.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into who are my picks?
Yeah,
But or do
please
you
tell
want to
me,
do
tell me, tell
okay?
me, tell me.
So this is y'all. This is my picks for the past 3 weeks, essentially.
Oh!
And but they're based on storylines
Okay.
that are current. So I want to talk about Greg's death, Gregory's death. I
Hmm.
think, and we've talked about how we don't want to see Finn and Elizabeth together, and it's looking like it's not going to happen. But man, they are putting in some performances in this breakup, in this breakdown. We don't necessarily like the fact that everything around Elizabeth is about Finn. Okay, I agree with that. But Finn's breakdown and Michael Easton having to deal with Gregory's death has been phenomenal. We
Hmm.
can't we I don't knock Michael Easton's ability as an actor. I just don't like them together as the two
Right.
characters.
Agreed.
And so he's been kick, hitting it out of the park in his, scenes around the death and his breakdown and getting back into alcohol. Just amazing. And then his fight with Elizabeth when he was yelling at her and how she's been reacting to it. Even just again, one of those scenes where she's not saying anything and you see the reactions on her face, beautiful. And so it basically shows this story more than any other story that they've been involved in really shows their acting chops and how wonderful they are as actors and how they're definitely deserving of attention. It's just they need the right story. And them being together is not the right story. So them
Correct.
breaking up has been a great story. And so unfortunately, so I have to give it to them too in terms of this particular storyline.
Michael Easton
Also,
and Becky.
yeah,
Becky Hurst.
but
Hmm.
also Jane Elliott.
Oh, yeah. So good. So good.
Yeah, so good and so amazing. Do you want to comment on this storyline, or should I move on to my other set of
I mean,
actors?
we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
this storyline. So why don't we talk about the
Okay.
storyline, and then if the actors come up, you can talk about
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, Gregory's memorial and Finn off the wagon.
Right.
I so they tried to do this weird thing of like explaining like how alcohol would because I was confused. I was like, okay, he wasn't an alcoholic,
Hmm.
so what's happening here? I still don't know what's happening, but I guess they tried to explain it. I think that they just don't understand addiction, and it's hard for them to write if it's not like alcohol, to
Oh.
be quite
Well, I
honest.
mean, I think I've seen enough addiction storylines and kind of experienced it in my family enough to understand that yes, addiction may start with one particular drug or
Right,
one particular substance, but addiction itself, that it will stay with you. And
right.
it's really easy to go from one addiction to the next.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so, yeah, and so that probably wasn't explained very, or maybe they're showing how it's hard to explain to other people. Like it's
Yeah,
even hard for an addict themselves to understand because it was clearly when Finn was saying, I don't have a problem with alcohol. I
right.
have a problem with pills. Like, no, honey, you're an addict and you made a decision not to drink for a reason. And so you can't,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was
And
just
so it's
weird.
hard.
It was just
Um,
weird when he like
yeah,
was like triggered around like the smell of alcohol. I'm like, well, that wasn't
right.
I just feel like anyway, they tried to explain
Yeah.
it. I'ma just let it roll.
Hmm.
Whatever. Um, Chase kind of annoyed me. I the self-righteousness, the like I I didn't care for it.
I was going to say, I'm not caring so much of all the conversation that's happening with
Hmm.
Chase and Brooklyn around this. Like,
Yeah.
it's not compelling enough for me to hear him talk about it. I'm just like, and maybe they're doing it because this is the first time Chase has experienced Finn in the throes of addiction. I guess he wasn't necessarily physically there when he was addicted to the pills and all this other stuff. So he's like seeing his brother in a different kind of light. But it's not like, I don't like that a good third of the programs in the past 2 days have been about Chase and Brooklyn talking about Finn
And not
the
calling like
morning.
Alexis, who's his sponsor, or
Right.
whoever his sponsor
Sponsor
is.
is.
Like
Right.
it
They're just
just,
like thinking, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And not really saying actually making sure that he's getting the help. They're talking about it. In the meantime, he's out there in the streets drinking and hoeing it up. Like like really? How are you talking about it actually helping the situation and planning a kidnapping, helping the situation?
and like now they're gonna do summer camp at the Q's. Like, okay. I just feel like I also feel like Chase's as an actor, Josh Swickard's like sweet spot is
Mm,
compassion.
mm,
And it's sweetness and understanding and gentleness.
mm,
Just because it's who he is as a person. And I'm not saying that he can't, we've seen him play outside of that. I'm not saying that he can't, but
mm,
I think that the story would be stronger if they played into his strengths. Because we
right.
saw, like, even when he was with Brooklyn and he was like trying to be an asshole to her, we were all like, no, absolutely not.
Right.
Nobody's interested in this. Like, I feel like similar with Finn. Like,
Mm,
let him be let him be worried about Violet. Let him be like frustrated. Let him be sad that he's just now seeing it. Let's
mm,
let him feel like guilty, like wrongfully guilty, but like guilty that he can't help. But I don't really want to see him be like a jerk about addiction. You know what I mean?
mm.
Like, how dare he did it? Well, he's doing because he's addicted.
Right.
He's doing because he's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how that works. And so I'm not really interested in him,
Mhm.
you know, just that's just for me. I'm sure somebody else likes it, but I just don't like it.
Yeah. Because I mean, Elizabeth is experiencing all the same things, but she's not getting nearly the dialogue. She has to do it or the time, screen time. So she's expressing all of the same feelings on her face and
Mm,
by her actions. That's why it's like so amazing what Rebecca Herbst is doing with this. Like
yes.
she doesn't have that time sit there and talk and and but she's showing it. The few minutes that she has on the screen, you can see it written all on her face. The disappointment, the anger, the frustration, and not knowing what to do. Right? All of
I
that, and it's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So if you listen to the show, I don't care for Liz.
Hmm.
Liz is not a big deal for me.
Right.
But I do care about actresses and I do care
Hmm.
about them being respected. And
Hmm.
I feel like I'm not sure what they've been doing with Becky, but it's just like a lack of respect for her as like
Hmm.
a long-term actress on the show.
Hmm.
Um, her anniversary story essentially became about Finn.
Right.
This story that she's in is about Finn. Where is her story? I mean,
Hmm.
we are seeing. I did love Jake calling his daddy because I think he called Jason.
Yes.
I was like, I didn't even think Jake had Jason's number.
Right.
He's like, my mama gonna need you because I mean the disrespect of Finn going out to like some dive bar, finding some doctor groupie, and taking her back to the crib. I said, get out of here. Get out of here. Free her. Free Liz. I'm tired
Hmm.
of it. And I'm not even a fan of hers like that.
Hmm.
But no, this ain't it. This ain't it.
Hmm.
It's disrespectful. And do something different. I don't have to
Hmm.
like Liz to want better for her.
Hmm.
And I'm tired of it. No, but again, I did love Jake being at the little dive bar. I said, Jake, wasn't you mad at Danny for vaping? What you doing?
Right. That's the only like a real issue that I'm having is that Jake is all over the place, but I guess being a teen, that's part of the
Yeah.
process. You can be a hypocrite and explore and do all these things. That's what teens do. So even, the awesome teen that Jake is, and he's been through some things, so I'm gonna give him a pass.
Has he not been through some things?
Right. So yes, if maybe he wants to go and explore what nasty ass beer tastes like, fine. But
Hudson looks so old. I said, when did this
right.
baby get this big? I feel like somebody auntie, when did the baby get this big? Like,
So yeah.
I could not believe it. I said, what's going on? Is that Hudson?
Hmm.
My
Shout out to his
goodness.
friends that know how to cover for him.
I love the friends being like, that guy's a jerk.
He's a jerk. Don't let
Just,
him get in the way of our good time. But yeah, he doesn't deserve
oh no,
it.
he called him a loser.
A loser.
I know. I said, you right. You right, he is. Um, yeah, I did think Violet did a good job. I liked
Yeah.
the Maxie and Violet scene. It
Yeah.
was very surprising to me that they were
Hmm.
like paired together, but I actually think that's
Hmm.
something that GH has been a little bit better at, but has not done well enough, which is like these unsuspected
Hmm.
pairings. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I wish and I hope that we are going to see more of that.
Hmm. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my next set of actors
Tell me.
is back dealing with the Sunny stuff.
Okay.
Now, the scene, the fight, and the aftermath. I think have to give a shout out to Kate Mancy and Dominic Zambrogna.
Hmm.
Oh my God! So some people are still up in the air whether Kate Mancy is appropriate as Christina,
I don't
but
understand that.
and then also people I don't we don't understand why Christina all of a sudden just does not remember when Sunny has been violent in the past, because people have brought up on YouTube that Christina witnessed when Sunny basically slammed was it home chick, not old Carly. Well, old Carly playing another character. What was her name?
Oh, Claudia.
Claudia.
Yeah, yeah.
Christina witnessed that when and she reacted to that in a very profound way, saying, I remember when you yelled at Claudia. I remember how mean you can be. And then she was going through her experience of having an abusive boyfriend, and she went to therapy, and in therapy they found out that she's not being able to handle how she's seen her father be violent in the past. So a lot of people have anger over the fact that this new version of Christina just seems to have no memory or acknowledgement of when Sunny has been violent. So yes, that is unbelievable.
Yeah, because
But I
also
think
she, do you remember she,
right.
this, I think Carly was pregnant with Joss at the time or something. Because this
Uh-huh.
used to be when like Molly,
Right.
Christina, Morgan, Michael,
Yeah.
all of them used to be at Carly and Jackson's house.
All the time.
And Christina asked Carly if she felt like Sunny was abusive to her.
Mm.
I remember that scene. Like it was like a
Yeah.
really big deal. And Carly was kind of like, I didn't care for the scene at the time, but she's like, I gave as good as I got, whatever, whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is very weird. I think there's a difference between the characterization that they give Christina that's really for the benefit of Sunny, to be quite
Hmm.
honest,
Hmm.
versus like whether or not Kate Mancy is good. Because
Yeah,
Kate Mancy
exactly.
is
That's what I was
phenomenal.
gonna say. Like Kate Mancy with the material that she's being given
She's
is
phenomenal.
phenomenal. And so how she reacted, all the scenes that she's been having has been great. And so I do want to give a shout out for that. Also, Dante, when he was just like, what are you doing? What about the position you're putting me into?
Oh, to
Yes.
Sunny. Yeah, yeah,
To Sunny.
yeah. Hmm.
Yes. That was amazing. And of course, well, not of course, but yes, we do have to give props to Maurice Bernard again and how he's handling these scenes. So for this particular storyline, these are the actors that I want to give props to.
Yeah, they're all
Hmm.
very good.
Hmm.
Again, I've been listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar, and I have just been feeling like I've been feeling like Mo is like, we will not be embarrassed. People are getting nominated in the Emmys next year, okay?
Oh
Put the
yeah.
whole Emmys on me, I'm gonna get them dropped, is what Mo has
Right.
said. He has shown up at every scene. He's like, you're getting an acting nod, you're getting an acting nod, you're getting an acting nod. I feel like Mo just be on the sideline, like, excuse me, are we acting? Are we
Right.
acting?
This is, you know.
Everybody is like really showing up in just like
Mhm.
major ways. And I
Mhm.
definitely agree. I
Mhm.
will say, so let's get into like this Christina and Blaze story.
Oh yeah. I thought, and I was, they were so compelling. But
Hmm.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let me first say, I don't know what they're doing to Maura West as Ava, but Maura said, "You one thing Ava's not gonna be is a homophobe." Okay,
Right. She's like, you can make me do all kinds of things,
listen, I
but
don't
I'm
care.
not gonna be a homophobe.
That's where I draw the line. Like, I just feel like
Right.
she was like, I'm gonna say something. It was
Right.
so funny. Cause like I was like, what are they doing with homophobic Maria Santos? She is
Right.
terrible. And I wanted to like the character because I love Ava LaRue. Get
Hmm.
her off my screen. Get her away.
Right.
I've had enough. The
She's the
judgmentalness,
worst.
the like you might as well break up, the gay people are flighty. Girl, get
Yeah,
out of
they're not,
here.
it's not a real relationship. Like, ma'am, no. Um, but yes, totally. And yeah.
Because
But
like
I
the
just,
thing about it is, and then I'm sorry, I
yeah, go
will just
ahead.
say that I think that there are things that she can have real concerns about that are not her being so homophobic.
Hmm.
She can have concerns about what people would say about Christina being pregnant and like what that means for Blaze. So there's a question like, are y'all
Hmm.
pregnant together? What's happening? And
Hmm.
like, you don't get the chance to like explain that because Blaze is a celebrity. You
Right.
could have problems with your daughter being connected to the mob, but you clearly don't have no problem with that. You could say that like she's not working like she needs to be.
Right.
There are like things that you can have an issue with that are not you being so homophobic and gross.
Hmm.
I've had enough.
Yeah. And how I just felt the scenes that were in the studio were great between what's the actress's name that's playing Blaze?
Oh, Jacqueline?
Jacqueline. I think they were great. Um, Particularly, I mean, how Christina is recognizing that some of her behavior is similar to Sunny's and being, you know, totally
Ooh.
judgmental and unforgiving. She's like, I don't want to be like my dad. Yeah, you don't want to be like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
I thought those were great scenes that they had together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's Jacqueline Grace Lopez. I love her on Instagram. We follow a lot of the same accounts, including astrology.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, I thought they were really great together. I
Hmm.
thought the stuff in the studio, I hate the random singing on the show. I thought this
Uh,
I like the studio singing made perfect sense to me.
yeah.
It like
Hmm.
yes, that was cool. I thought the producer guy was kind of cute. I said, okay. All
He was
right.
just like, I'm just trying to do my job, lady. She sounded great. So why are you trying to make changes to the song?
She was
So
just yeah, she was just like, you should just break up.
I know that was just so. And I also want to note, I want to give a shout out to whoever's doing the music direction, not necessarily about the songs that were being sung, but I'm really noticing the music that's in the background behind the
Mm,
scenes.
okay.
And it like, and that's kind of really drawing me in. I was just like, oh, that's interesting. It's kind of heightened the suspense. Like, because right now, she was just being, she was, at first she was being nice. And she says, yes, I agree. You guys are in a great relationship and all this other stuff. But then
Yeah.
the music kind of just was like, it made it sound sinister, like something was about, she was about to say something off the wall because this music just indicated that that was going to happen. So shout out to sound or whoever that really put that in, because I just thought, oh, that's great how they just put that together.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I really wanted to shout out that. So I do have just one more person I want to shout out.
Okay.
the scene, well, basically Mara West. And the reason why I
Always.
would always, not only just because I ain't trying to be no homophobe, but still owning her messiness. Now, we found out that it was Ava that was the one that tipped off
Right, about
whoever the
Alexis.
rat about Alexis.
Hmm.
And so Alexis goes and confronts Ava. And
Hmm.
Ava's like, yeah, I tipped them off. I
It was
did
me.
this. It was me. And
Maura West.
I was just
Maura
like,
West has the ultimate stand and no business face.
right.
10 toes
And
down. Yeah.
I did it. So
And what
what?
else?
What you gonna do? How else can I help you today? It was amazing. She literally said that. Is there anything else I can do for you? I was like,
It was big. You ain't gonna check me. Energy.
what you gonna do? And Alexis is like,
Yeah.
well, you're gonna regret this. And Ava was like, not likely, because I'm
Am
enjoying
I?
it right now. So it was great. So
Ah,
shout out to
yeah.
Maura West.
Yeah. Who stands on business. I love her. I love
Right.
her. So we have a new person in the young adult scene, young
Gia.
Geo, the violin player. Um, I think it's cute. Um, I will say this. I know that people are like, he looks young.
He
They all
does.
they all look young to me, so he does not look younger than anybody else. But that's
I
also because I am such an auntie. I'm like,
oh,
oh, does he look young? Like,
I
okay.
think he looks a little bit younger than than Tabiana
Does
and
he?
Edith. I think so. I think, but we'll have to find out. But then, boys don't necessarily mature the same rate as women do at that age. So
Did you know
we'll
who
see.
else looked really young to me is William.
No, he looks younger than William to me. So,
He does
um,
not look younger than William to me. But anyway, I'm not gonna. I mean,
yeah,
people can feel how they feel.
yeah.
Um, I am gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna give it a
Hmm.
chance the same way. I love Kelly Monaco. I love Sam McCall. I have
Hmm.
shipped every one of Sam's ships, every single
Hmm.
one. Even
Right.
I didn't really even like Silas, but I
Hmm.
shipped it because that's my girl.
Right.
Period. So I'm gonna give whatever is happening with Trina and Geo a
Hmm.
little chance. Um, he was funny to me flirting with her.
Oh yeah.
I saw some like conversation and it was all on my For You page. I was like, how did this happen? How am I getting so much soap conversation on my
Hmm.
For You page? And people being like, it looked like he was flirting. It was like him and Jocelyn was flirting.
Right.
That's not what I saw. I saw not a spark between the two of
Uh,
them.
I mean, it felt like they got along,
Yeah,
but not necessarily a flirt. But then on the other hand, I did feel like he reacted a little bit when he realized that, Joss and Dex were still kind of, doing their thing. But I don't think he took it that seriously. I don't think he's
it was
actually taking either.
giving
I,
nosy.
yeah, I don't think he's actually taking either Joss or Trina as like romantic right now.
Really?
I
I
think he's
saw
just,
him flirting with
I mean,
Trina.
yeah, he was flirting, but I don't think he was like flirting in the sense of, oh, I want her to be my girlfriend. Not in the same way that Spencer was.
No, I mean, well,
Yeah,
Spencer was
Spencer.
shameless from day one.
Right. So, I think he might be developing a friendship and that might turn into feelings. I totally see that. But yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just think, yeah.
I think that I wouldn't compare the two of them. I
Hmm.
think that they are trying to like bring him in slowly. It
Hmm.
feels like the cast all really like him.
Right.
Um, so like as behind the scenes, they all seem to really like him. Um, yeah, I'm gonna look at it. I will say that something that bothers me is how much aftermath we're getting in Gregory's death that we
Hmm.
didn't get in Spencer's.
Oh
And
yeah.
I tried to like kind of forgive it or not forgive it, but give it a chance. Because I was like, okay, well, if Nicholas is coming right back, then like it is really difficult to write like extensive story around mourning for him or his death
Hmm.
if that's what's happening. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Right.
Because like you would have had people mourn for him to like turn around and pop back up.
Right.
But
So,
with this, it's like we didn't get Trina. I think that like it would have been a really great story for Trina to be mourning and like taking care of Taggart.
mm-hmm,
Um, Sonny barely brings it up. Laura is too busy trying to free Heather to bring it up. Like it is, it is so glaring, not just about Trina, but just about like in general
the whole,
Spencer being gone off
yeah,
canvas. That's not a big deal, but Gregory's death is like a huge deal and has
yeah.
like actually switched the trajectory of characters. And that bothers me.
Yeah, I agree because Spencer has been such a fixture on the show for so long. And so I'm disappointed that I'm not hearing more about General Hospital wanting to hire somebody else. Or, and so maybe if that's the case, that's fine, I guess. But if they're really not bringing him back, then I agree. The city of Port Charles needs to mourn him more
Hmm.
and have it not just be Trina alone.
And barely,
Uh
because
huh.
even when like they had Spencer's funeral, she didn't even go to Windermere. It was
Right.
poorly written. um they have not done right by the character of Trina. In
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, a character that I have liked, even when she was Asian Trina, to be honest. But like a character, but particularly with like we have grown with this character since Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
um I and I will say that I liked her talking with Geo about Joss and Dex when she was like, I
Mm-hmm.
love them. And I was like, well, that's crazy because we haven't seen you be close enough to Dex for that to be a person that you love. So it just feels like such a missed opportunity. I think even back to when both Cameron and Spencer were still on the show,
Mm-hmm.
particularly around Trina's trial, I still think we should have had them be like the new four Musketeers. Like Cameron and Jocelyn, and then Trina and Spencer, and gone from there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like it was just seeing the banter between the young adults. They all have such a good rapport with each other. We just really missed that. We really missed out on the four of them and like growing that kind of scene in a way that made them like friends.
Yeah.
So we shall see. We shall see what happens with Gia. We shall see what happens with Trina. Again, I do think I like Trina being back at the gallery. I like them planning this live event. I hope
Mm-hmm.
that do you remember when Trina planned the like thing around the book, the big
Yeah.
animal? I hope that we get something like that to like actually see her in action again.
Yeah.
And see, I loved that because we got to see her interact with characters that she didn't normally interact with. And again, Tabiana is one of those actresses and one of those people that just everybody around her seems to really love her.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that from her social media presence. And so we should be using the momentum of how much people like her as a person and like funneling that into her character because that shows when
Mm-hmm.
everybody likes someone and people love being around them. That's why it showed so much in Brooklyn's bachelorette party because we were like, why is Trina here? It didn't
Mm-hmm.
matter why she was there because it looked fun because everybody loves her.
Right.
So let's keep that up, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay. Um, Drew tells Carly he's gonna run for Congress. I loved Carly being like, yes, for the money and the power. Drew was like, for the service.
Well,
Carly was like, of course.
first she was like, "You what what?" Like everybody else. Like, why are you ready?
Right, right.
Yeah. So I'm not. You know what? Honestly, I'm not as interested in this story
No,
at all.
I think it should be Jordan running, but here we are.
Right.
But I
Exactly.
did think it was interesting that like them bringing up the insider trading. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was right for Carly to be like, you get to live your life.
Right.
And for him to like bring up Nina to her and it not to be whatever, that was interesting. Then we
Hmm.
have like the Drew and Nina and Willow at the pool. Wiley, you're not my kid. You're you're a little traitor. I will say that I thought Cynthia looked really great. Her hair looked
Yeah.
really great. I love that pool outfit she had on. I
Yeah.
said, okay, you better come through with your post breakup glow up, your divorce glow up.
Right? She looked great.
She looked great. I loved her
Hmm.
hair like that. It looked
Yeah.
really nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The ladies are looking good. GH
Hmm.
ladies are looking good.
Hmm.
Um, but I was disappointed at her like looking at Drew that way. Because I really had wanted Drew and Jordan, but I don't want to see Drew and Jordan if it's like some kind of tug of war between Jordan and Nina.
Curtis. Oh, and Nina. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not interested
I
in
mean,
that.
and I thought it was an interesting thing that I saw that and then saw what they did with Cameron Matheson at the Emmys.
And they
It was
look
an
so good
interesting.
together. Oh, they look so
Well,
good
no, I
together.
mean a particular thing that they did at the Emmys, which was similar to what Nina was doing.
What was that?
So Nina was kind of ogling, Drew over,
Hmm.
his chest, which was obviously awesome because he works out and he looks great. But then at the Emmys, they did the same thing where, they were talking. I guess they had three guys up with the host and they were talking about how well they looked or how attractive they were. And they're like, and then one of them was like, well, at least I'm not Cameron Matheson with his shirt off. And then Cameron Matheson takes his shirt.
I must have missed that. I was
I
watching
was
both of the
like,
Emmys. I must have missed
yeah.
that.
I
That's
was just
funny.
like, so it was weird to see like everyone admiring Cameron Matheson and his chest, and they were doing the same thing on GH that same day. It was funny, or at least the same day that I watched it.
I was like looking at those like selfies that him and Tanisha took together.
Oh yeah,
They just have always looked so good together.
yeah.
But nothing about their characters makes me want them together. It's really
Mm.
about them and their
Parents,
appearances.
yeah, they look good and they have great chemistry.
Yeah. Ugh,
Yeah, so
what a waste. What a
right.
waste. Um, Also, I thought it was weird. Wiley was talking about, he's like, such and such at the quarter maze. I'm like, that's your house. What are you talking about? It was weird.
Just
It was
demonstrating
weird.
how wealthy he is and how lucky he can go from one place to the next to be in a pool. I'm sorry, I'm salty because I didn't
Right.
have access to pools when I was like that young.
I do love that the pool set is back up. I loved my little Spixie moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love them.
Maxie, like, I ain't getting in the water. I spent too much time on my hair and my outfit.
And Maxie and Kirsten's looking great.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, but I love Jocelyn as a lifeguard and that little bit of water. People make fun of that, but I'm also like, how much water do you think you can drown in?
Right. It
Yeah,
doesn't take much.
yeah. Um,
Especially,
so
yeah.
I love that. I love her having her as a lifeguard. I really like that set. So I'm
Hmm.
hoping that we see more of the young adults at that set. Um, that's all I got. Maybe
Me
more
too.
things happen. So sorry if they did.
What else happened? Oh, again, constant conversation about Molly and
Don't even care.
EJ trying to take over pregnancy, blah blah blah. I think that was
It's
pretty much it though.
bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like I like why does Christina have to tell you, "Oh, I got upset." What are we talking
Yeah, I saw
about?
something and I got upset. Right. And of course she's not going to want to say, "Oh, it was about my dad," after being interrogated by TJ about cutting her dad loose. So, yeah, it makes sense that she's not going to say anything.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Well, we brought up the Emmys a few times. We did have the Emmys.
Mhm.
GH1 writing, directing, show, and then Robert Gosling, aka Hat Daddy,
Hat
won for
Daddy.
supporting. I was surprised. Not about Hat Daddy. I mean,
Right.
back to back. I like that record for him.
Yeah.
Um, I just had not thought that GH had really strong writing, to be quite honest.
Well, I think it was because of the reel that they had turned
Right.
in, and it seemed like the reel really revolved around the writing on Epiphany's
Epiphanies. Yeah.
death.
Yeah.
And so that probably did it. I mean, it was well done that they
Hmm.
did. So, and they got
Yeah.
awards for it.
Hmm.
Um,
And I
but
think next year probably will be the writing will be around Bobby's memorial, to be quite honest. Whatever they
yeah,
submit will be around that memorial.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have some really great acting scenes. And so, shout out to them having a good mix of actors and actresses that can pull off, a great scene or two or three or four.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know.
Agreed. I had said I wanted Fanola to win for a lead in the being Michelle Stafford. I
Yeah.
don't really watch these other shows, so I can't speak to how good they are, but I think Fanola is phenomenal, and I would have loved to see her win again.
Yeah, and for me in particular, and how she reacted to shooting Charlotte, I just think that she pulled off some phenomenal scenes.
Hmm.
But as a person that does watch Young and the Restless, and some people just really they treat Michelle Summers the same way they treat Laura Wright on social media. Like
Oh, do they?
I feel like they do because I feel like they just well, one Phyllis Phyllis is more volatile of a character than Carly is, and Phyllis
Hmm.
has not learned how to change. She's not, she's still very immature. She does crazy stuff.
When I dip into YNR,
And
I do enjoy Phyllis, but that's my kind of
Phyllis,
character.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
yeah.
And Michelle Stafford plays her very well, even
Hmm.
if the story makes Phyllis look awful. And she did some awful things this past year, and she destroyed relationships with her children, with the rest of Genoa City, and it was just like what she did was unexcusable.
Mm.
But Michelle Stafford plays that to the T and is very good at it. And so I wasn't mad that Michelle won. I just think I agree with you that I wish Finola had won because I liked what the character of Anna was dealing with better than what I liked what Phyllis was dealing with.
Hmm.
But both of them did really amazing work. So they deserve to have the nod.
Mm. Yeah, I loved Michelle. The
Yeah.
first words out of her for her victory speech were just like, "Fanola, you're the best actress in here."
Right.
And I was like, "That's bestie behavior." I liked it.
Yeah. Good bestie behavior. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it looked like people had the time of their lives. Did you see Kelly Clarkson's speech?
No, I didn't see that.
Kelly Clarkson gives the speech, and she's like, "In General Hospital, y'all look like a good time." She said it like a couple times in her speech because she was like sitting close to them.
Uh-huh.
So I thought that was really cute. Because I was like, oh yeah, that's probably Tabiata eating. Turn it up. Um, Tabiana's social media beforehand, so cute. She was so funny. She was kind of like just walking around. She ended up seeing Raven, who plays Chanel on Days. And I
Uh-huh.
know they've done some things together, so that was really cute. Um, Nobody fangirls over Tabiana like Eden does. That's her girl. She loves her. Like it's the trust relationship is like for real in real life.
Right.
She clearly like stands her some Tabiana. She's like, look how beautiful she is. So I was like, Tabiana looked great. That blue on her, so
Um,
good.
awesome.
Um, and then yeah, they just looked like they were having such a fun time. I loved Becky's hair.
Mm-hmm.
It was like kind of short and curly. It was really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, everybody just looked great. They literally had a fun time.
Yeah, I think Becky and Maura were there together.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they look that sound like was a great time.
yeah.
Maura West is hilarious too, because I think I saw a video where she was doing uh an event with two other who was it? I forgot who the other characters were, but she was in the video and she was hilarious. So I'm thinking she's probably hilarious in real life. It might
Yeah.
have been her and Becky that was having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, these actors have known each other for so long, like they're
Hmm.
friends.
Hmm.
Um, I will say we were talking about this about whether or not we were gonna bring this up, but my God, what is going on social media? Your face. Like, oh my Lord, this is so nasty.
They are so brutal.
I was
Like,
like,
they were like, well, one lady was like, I don't mean to be rude, but what? Why is Robert Gossett getting an award? I was like, well, first of all, that is rude.
oh.
Second of all, he's a good actor. Or
Right.
like, you know, and then they were talking about GH. They're like, GH run for writing? Folks are just not happy with the current writing regime.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
mean,
and they're
I
like,
I also like some of the stuff that I saw for towards Laura Wright. I was like, what's going on, y'all? Like,
right. They're
let's
like,
like really sit down and talk about this. So I
yeah,
know I saw people like saying that Frank was on drugs when he was like
I
doing his
know.
speech. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I don't drug shame, to be honest. So if he
Right.
was on drugs, more power to him. Like what that got to do with me?
Right.
But I also think that he's just like anxious and like he's a executive producer. He's not a performer.
Right.
So I think I've heard him say, and I've heard the cast say that he's very shy. And
And
so it actually is like really hard for him to get up in a room full of people.
I can imagine. It's not an easy thing to do.
No. And so
And
like when Laura Wright was like with him, people were like, oh, she's the favorite. She's did it. I'm like, I think she was just there as like comfort for her friend because he doesn't like being in front of crowds.
and I
And
think here's the thing. Whenever an actor goes up there, and I don't know, maybe it's pro forma or whatever, but they don't shy around giving Frank props.
no,
Like they really appreciate him and what they've done or what he's done for them. And so the hatred is just crazy to me.
it's just I don't know. There was another thing I saw that Laura Wright had like quote tweeted. So there was like a lot of conversation about like her because she was like really excited to be performing with Steve or like presenting
Giving
with Steve.
presenting with them, yeah.
And they were like, look at how she is in front of his girlfriend. His girlfriend needs to watch out. She's so thirsty with him. I was like, Laura
Y'all.
Wright play pickleball and love on West corny ass, okay? And I say corny with all love because I love a corny man too, but she loves her corny boyfriend.
Right.
I
And
just
she's been
don't.
with them a lot longer. She was with them before even Jason left, right?
Yeah, her and Steve have just been friends for a long
For a long
time,
time.
a really
Yeah.
long time. I think they
Right.
were friends for before she even became Carly.
Probably.
Because they knew each other from being like young soap actors.
Yeah.
So it was just like weird. And so somebody said something like, why doesn't she just go ahead and pee on him or something like that? I don't know. I think maybe it was like marker space, maybe. I don't know. But the only reason I saw it is because she quote tweeted it and was like and like called people out. I was like, why are y'all so nasty? Like, what's going on with y'all? Like we
Right.
had a good time. And then I saw people being like, why is she quote tweeting this? She's like trying to get attention. I just I you know
There and
I
then the new actor that's playing the handsome guy that's in jail. What's his name?
oh Brennan, yeah.
He was folks were like trolling him. And
Yeah.
he quote tweeted one of them and he was laughing. And then afterwards, they accused him of being a stalker. And I was like, dude, y'all are crazy. So I think the platform that is now X, and I'm only saying X now because Twitter is changed since Elon Musk has taken over. It
Hmm.
is more brutal, it's more mean. There's definitely a lot more bots. There's definitely a lot more shenanigans happening on that platform. And it's crazy to me. Someone was like, I went to a training and they were talking about, oh, okay, um, next door. They're like, people are going to hate you on next door, but that's what it's for. I was like, X is actually becoming that now
Yeah.
because people are just really leaning into being mean and nasty for no reason.
Yeah.
And even if you don't like, you don't like a character, you don't like maybe how much screen time they get, that's fine. But you don't have to take it to the personal level that's becoming. And that's it's very a shame because there's so much great conversation that we could be having about on the soap operas and
Mm-hmm.
on that platform. And it's just, and I know that I've used Twitter in the past to learn to engage and be a part of community.
Yep.
And we could have that. But because people are just being so, negative, it's very difficult to want to engage in that. And it makes
Mm-hmm.
me feel, rather than people want you to feel negative towards the actors, I actually feel bad instead of negative about it. Whatever you guys think are happening behind the scenes, the way you all are comporting yourselves is actually making me feel more sympathy for them than anything.
Yeah. I mean, and we would be remiss. I
Right.
saw somebody like tweet like a racial slur at
Right.
Tatiana,
Uh-huh.
and I it's disgusting. It needs to be stopped. If I think racists need to be smacked in their mouth. I'm
Yeah.
never ever like that is some bullshit. Get offline.
Hmm.
And I don't want to like make any sort of comparison to make it seem like I am belittling that because
Hmm.
like for sure Twitter particularly like since Elon Musk like you said has taken it over, people have felt so emboldened to be so racist.
Hmm.
You can be anonymous and do it, and it's really really gross,
Hmm.
and nobody should take that. And I think that to come at Tabiana in that way, like this young woman actress, is one of the reasons why we uplift her on our platform.
Hmm.
When we you go on our Instagram, we're gonna love on, if you listen to the show, we're gonna love on her because I don't want to uplift like a random racist bot or person who has something to say about her.
I will
Because I
say that, yeah, I will also say that it's not even just random bots who may have like 100 followers or whatever. There's some really, and I'm not just picking on the soap opera section, but there's some people that have a lot of followers who are real folks who
mm,
are still getting away with some really egregious behavior on the
mm,
platform. And so it's not, I mean, yes, the bots are out of control, but there are actual real people behind
right.
some of these handles that are just engaging in meanness for no reason.
Hmm.
And they're actually getting popular or seem to be getting more popular just because they're doing that. Um,
I mean, I would say that
yeah,
I that is true,
yeah,
and that's why I want to make sure that I am not belittling what's
right.
happening.
Yeah.
But what I see when people come at Tatiana with that racist shit,
Oh, yeah.
it's like some coward who started an account a month ago and has
Right.
like two followers because
Right.
they know that they can do that and they want to
Yeah.
harass this young black girl.
Right.
And for me, I'm not gonna uplift that. I'm
Hmm.
gonna block that person. I'm gonna report the tweet and then I'm gonna keep it moving
Hmm.
because that is very different than like somebody getting 100 likes or 200 likes or 300 likes for harassing an actor because that becomes like normalized. It is
Hmm.
not okay or normalized to be racist.
Hmm.
Thankfully, even on sub Twitter, like thank God nobody is being like, yeah, that's cool. You gonna get cussed out. You're gonna get like ostracized as you should.
Hmm.
For me as a person, I am not even gonna uplift it. I'm gonna block it because that person has one follower. If this was like a blogger or somebody who has some kind of power being racist, I'm gonna call it out.
Hmm.
When you remember when they had like the camping trip and like the young people with when Sydney was still training, that was actually something for me, for
Hmm.
Tracy, not for anybody, but for me that needed to be called out because this
Hmm.
was like institutionally within the show. I think that when I look at what's happening on social media, I'm also looking at just like it's one of the reasons, I mean, we've talked about this. One of the reasons I left social media because we both are like real people who like do work and have like work and platforms and stuff like that outside of this show. So when you do stuff like say Frank's on drugs, like we actually can't afford to have people say stuff like that about us.
Mm-hmm.
because people don't like what we said about soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and that's the kind of stuff that I was like seeing, especially towards myself, bubbling up of being like,
Mm.
well, she doesn't like this white person, like that kind of. I said, oh no, no, no. If this was over something real, like something politics, and like I could actually defend myself or whatever, that's different. I'm not about to be going back and forth on my platform about a soap opera. Like I love Carly, and people be like, "Fuck Carly." And I'm like, "No, fuck." Like I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like that's wild to me. It's not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made the choice to one, take Sunday Shift off of Twitter, and to myself very rarely interact with Twitter on my personal account.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, and it was sent to me. I went, it popped up in my For You page, and people act. I don't know why people are acting like you only see stuff if you're tagged in it. If you have a For You page,
They
you
bring
will
it to
see
you.
things. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the algorithm will show
The
you.
algorithm will show it to you.
So I had on the Sunday Shift account on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
um, like had written something. I was like trying to be funny. And as a
Mm-hmm.
matter of fact, I was like chatting with some other people about it when Cameron Matheson had posted something about him and like Nina and Drew being together. And I was like, well, let me see if I can get the tea about Drew and Jordan. So I was like joking on the thing. I was like, oh, I was like, does this stop you and Jordan, or are y'all kind of sparkle together? And then I saw somebody had like screenshot it and took it from Instagram
Mm-hmm.
to Twitter and was like, well, they pretend to be feminists and I was like, this is a lie, y'all. Like, what's happening? Why do we have to do this? Why is there like pretending? It's not as if I'm saying like put a real life black woman with some abusive white man. We're talking about characters on a show, and then you're passing like judgment about who we are as like people based on like our feelings about a soap opera. I just can't be a part of that. Good luck, Godspeed to everyone involved. Like, good luck. I just can't like, and it makes me sad because I think that I've met like some really amazing people on soap Twitter. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Tara and Britt, both who step in a lot when you can't be here.
Mm-hmm.
Tanya are both people I met on soap Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to love having conversation about misogyny and race and all of that in a way that was like informative. I've learned so much, not just on soap Twitter, but as you said on Twitter. Like
Mm-hmm.
some of my politics have been like shaped by Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So it is sad to me that like, it's like acceptable to have like conversation in the way that it's being had.
Yeah. I'm particularly sad because a lot of the friends that I have now I met on Twitter too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, even like me and you, right? It's just
Hmm.
like, so it's just crazy that we can't go to that platform anymore and have those kind of really rich interactions and conversations. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, and I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, there are some actors on GH that I don't like, but then I'm not going out of my way to troll them.
Right.
I'm not even going out of my way to talk about them. And so when it seems like you do that as just the way that you engage is the only way that you engage is to troll or to talk bad about actors and about what they're doing on the show, to me, it's suspect. It's not something that I want to engage in personally either because
Yeah.
I got too much other stuff. Not to say that people don't have lives off of Twitter, but it kind of feels weird that that's your only focus and your only purpose to be on the
Hmm.
platform is to be negative. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, speaking of, I remember I went to your campaign kickoff and I took a picture with like four people who I didn't know other than being on Twitter.
yeah.
And then we were all like, "Oh yeah, you know Tony, you know Tony." And so like we were like, "This is our first time, like the four of us ever linking up. None of us had ever met each other, but we
Oh,
all knew each other. We
yeah.
all were like, oh, we talk all the time on Twitter, or like in the DMs, whatever, whatever."
Mm-hmm.
So like it can be like this really fun place. And I mean, social media is social media regardless. Like, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of those things. I think Twitter is just a little bit different because it is set up to have like the back and forth conversation as in like
Mm-hmm.
it like feeds on like the likes and the whatever. If
Right.
I leave a comment on like an Instagram post, I'm not really going back to see how many people like it. That's
Right.
not like the point, or it's not about like the back and forth conversation. So I think Twitter just like creates that, and that was like the beautiful thing about Twitter, and it
Hmm.
also was like the tough thing when it comes to not just soaps, any kind of fandom, to be quite honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you want to get into next week?
Yeah.
All right. Monday. Elizabeth is left reeling.
That's gonna be some good scenes.
I'm excited for that scene. And
Yeah.
Jason finna show up like, ah.
Right.
Um, Willow opens up to Michael. Nina has a change of heart. Drew shares his news with Curtis. Tracy offers wise counsel. Tuesday. Sunny bears gifts for Christina. Alexis advises Laura. TJ is outraged. Sasha challenges Cody. Carly's hopes are dashed. Wednesday, Curtis wants answers. Trina confronts Laura. I'm looking forward to that. Alexis and Diane wonder what the future holds for Heather. Stella confides in Tracy. Christina and Blaze ponder their options. Thursday, Christina seeks Alexis's advice. Elizabeth and Chase voice their concerns. Finn is determined. Geo pitches an idea. And finally, Friday, Carly is suspicious. Nina gets a thrilling invitation. Cody gets food for thought. Anna accepts an offer for Valentine. Jagger gives Jason a shocking task. I don't know. I do want to, before we go, just say how sad I was to hear about Johnny Wachter.
Hmm.
Um, if you listen to us and you listen to our show, if you go back, we've always said really kind things about him, about how he was as an actor, and about how that must transfer to life because he was just such a generous scene partner.
Right.
And so to see all of the tributes pouring in from his coworkers and former coworkers, it just like showed that that must have been true. He would constantly, whenever we would praise him, interact with the praise and thank us for seeing him.
Hmm.
Um, so just really sad, really senseless. Hate to hear it. And just definitely sending my thoughts to his family.
Yeah. Thoughts to his family, thoughts to the actors and actresses that worked with him. I think I saw a little bit of a video of interview that with the Bonnie,
Hmm.
and she was saying how he was always generous with her, like inviting her to an event that he was going to be a part of, and having her be like a you know, featured person, and just lifting her up and respecting her. And so
Hmm.
just it doesn't surprise me at all. He seemed like a really sweet, generous, kind person. And so
Yeah,
I hope, pray for his family and his friends.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if you stuck with us this whole time, we really appreciate you. Make sure
Hmm.
you like, share, and subscribe to the video, and we will see you next week.